What's going on, guys? Hope you guys are doing well. Gonna be doing a little bit different of a video today. Gonna be more money related, but gonna be talking about how I am pretty much ensuring that I will be a multimillionaire by the age of 50. Big claim, I know, but I'm young, and I think that there's a lot of things you can do to put yourself in a very good position. So before I get started, I have to make the traditional disclaimer that none of this is financial, legal, or tax advice. I'm not a licensed professional. This is just my 2 cents. Obviously, this could not work out, so don't do it yourself. Do your own research, consult a professional before you invest, and yeah. So, what I have pulled up here is Excel. So I'm going to do some math there, and I also have a compound interest calculator pulled up on the left. There's a couple that I've shown on the channel before, but I do like this one because it gives you the option to include like yearly raises or to have an inflation adjusted value, which I think is cool to see because obviously I'm 23 now. When I'm 50, $1 million will buy you nowhere near as much as it can right now. So I do want to, make sure that that's kept in mind. I also will probably talk about at the end of the video kind of what kind of income I could expect, assuming that I got to that sum of money in retirement. So for let's just get started. So a couple of things that I currently do to invest, and I did talk about this stuff in the video I did where I reveal how much I make. I talked about, what portion of that gets invested. I will, just briefly touch on it here because it is necessary. So, salary, I make about 76K a year, sorry. And then I get, an annual bonus that I didn't include in that, but I'll talk about that. And so right now, I live a pretty frugal lifestyle, but I do live by myself. I have, plenty of expenses. But I am saving about 15% of my income post-tax. So what that means is, I did 0.15. So that is how much I'm saving per year. So, but this is the post-tax amount because I'm doing Roth 401k. So, this is an important thing to keep in mind is when you hear people talking about sums of money that they have in a traditional 401k versus a Roth 401k, or probably more common in an IRA versus a Roth IRA. The dollars in the Roth IRA are actually worth a lot more because the taxes have already been paid. If you have a 401k or a normal IRA, you're going to have to pay taxes on those dollars. So even if you have, 20 or 30% more in the IRA or 401k, after taxes, depending on your bracket, you could potentially be bringing home less money than the Roth. So just something to keep in mind when you're kind of, thinking about balances. But at 15% of my salary, that means I'm saving about $11,415 per year. So let's just label these. So that's my salary. So that's my 401k annually. So then, as I told you guys in my spending video as well, or how much I make video, I also get an employer match. Now, this is assuming that I don't leave and lose this, because it does vest over a 2 to 4 year period. If I leave before 2 years, I get nothing. If I stay between 2 and 4 years, it's like prorated. If you stay for longer than 4 years after the contribution, then it's fully vested. So they contribute 7.5% of my salary to their 401k match, and the match is pre-tax and my contributions are post-tax. So if we were to these up. And you'll have to forgive me for my abysmal typing because I am in a really awkward position with this keyboard and mic. And then, as I mentioned, I also have my HSA, which is a health savings account. It's so annoying with the autocorrect. For those of you that are not aware of what a health savings account is, it is a pre-tax account used to save for health expenses. But anything over your minimum cash threshold can be invested and it never expires. So I contribute the maximum amounts every year. This year, the max happens to be $4,150, and that can compound over time. And when you use it in however many years, as long as the expenses are health related, it is completely tax-free on the back end as well. So it is tax advantaged on both sides. And then lastly, have a Roth IRA. Let's just call this IRA. Now, I usually don't have enough money to fill this up from my normal job, like salary, because contributing 15% usually leaves me pretty thin. But I do work some side jobs, and I also get my bonus around, tax season kind of. So typically that enough, the side gigs from throughout the year, and then my bonus is enough to fill this up. Let's just clean this up. Okay, so let's do some math. So if I'm 23 now, let's say I'm starting with 0 in all of these accounts, which is not true, but for simplicity's sake. And let's do the math for 35, 45, and 50. And then, just for fun, let's do it till if I worked till 60. How about that? So, let's do the Roth 401k first. So, I'm going to assume an 8.5% return for that. That's invested in the stock market, and the average is 7 to 10% annually. I'm going to pick right in the middle, 8.5%. And I'm going to do, 23 to 35, so that's 12 years. Monthly addition, so that's going to be that for all of those. So monthly for the Roth 401k is going to be $951. And let's say I get a 3% raise every year, and inflation is also 3%. So let's say that is worth $273,753 12 years from now. And let's turn this to dollar signs. Okay, and then if we do the same for their match, that'd be $475 a month. That'll be $136, $732. Actually, maybe we should just do all the years at once. So 35 to 45, that would be 22. Or 23 to 45. 35, sorry. If we add another 5 years, bring that to 27. And then add 10 more, so that's going to be 37 years to get to 60. And then if we go back and we do their employer match, we'll keep it on 37 years. 1939226. 50, so that'd be 27. 567, 122. Take 5 more years off of that, 22. Be at 349, 185. And then if we look at the HSA, let's go back to the start. 345 into that. 86, 489, 45, so that's going to be 22. 267, 115. And then, let's see, 50 years, so 27. 433, 829, 37, 50, that would, or at 60, that'd be 1,077,338. And Roth IRA, it's gonna be $583 a month. Whoa, how'd my increase yearly contributions disappeared? Wow, that might actually mean that all those numbers I just did were wrong. I don't know when that got turned off. 67, 21. I'll double check. This is 22. 0, what? Oh, I'm an idiot. What was this, 583? Someone's racing outside. $956. And at 60. $2,506,805. Let's just double check some of these real quick, since the 3% got turned off. Okay, yeah, this is all wrong. 99,311. Alright, I went back and fixed them all. Didn't think you guys would want to sit here while I fix that, but these are now all the values, which means at 35, I will have about 670K, give or take. 45 jumps to 2.3 mil. Now these are not inflation adjusted, keep that in mind. 50 will be 3.862 mil. And then 60 will be over $10 million. You know, probably wouldn't work that long if I was doing this well, but cool to see. So let's figure out how much income this would be. I'm just gonna assume that Social Security is gonna be, let's say, $34,000 a year in today's money. Let's compound that to whatever time frame. Whoops. Just for inflation. So that'd be about $48,000 in 12 years. In 22 years, it'd be about 65. 27 years, it'd be about 76, 352. This is just assuming it grew at 3%, which I think is reasonable, given that it's tied somewhat to cost of living. And then at 60, that means it would be $100,000. Wow. I can't imagine getting $100,000 a year from Social Security, but I guess 40 years from now that could be a possibility. And then pre-tax. So I'm going to assume for all of these that I'm going to take a 4% distribution rate, which is the recommended withdrawal rate. You can obviously, play around with that, but so my only pre-tax is going to be the employer match. So if we take that 4% off that, it's going to be $5,400 a year in, if I was to take it at 35 versus 45 versus 50 versus 60. And to be fair, I'm just going to delete these because you can't even take Social Security that early. And technically, you'd have to wait till 62 to claim it here. But we'll just call it $100,000 for instance. And then, so yeah, we got the pre-tax there, post-tax. It's gonna be those two. So that's a pretty big jump. And then we have the HSA, obviously, which is going to be for health expenses only. So let's try and guess how much we would have after tax, post-tax. So I would probably get all of this because I would have such low income that it wouldn't even matter tax-wise. For this, probably end up paying maybe in the 12% bracket. So we'll say that times 0.88 plus the post-tax amount. So already, theoretically, if things went the way I was expecting them to, I could be getting $76,000. Granted, that's not inflation adjusted per year, just from these accounts. And also, to be fair, technically the 401ks cannot be pulled from, I know I keep forgetting these rules, cannot be pulled from until you're in your late 50s. So, in a way, these would not happen. And the post-tax would only be off of the Roth IRA because you can actually you can pull your contributions from that at any time. So let's adjust this. Alright. Maybe I should have done this off 55 and 62, or 59 and a half, which is when you can take from retirement accounts. And this would be 62 and I could start pulling from Social Security if I wanted to reduce benefit. But this is just for fun. Let's see. And then, so for 31K, I'd probably be in the 15% bracket, roughly, if I had to guess. So that'd be like 127 grand a year, not inflation adjusted, of course. And then 60. That's going to be a lot of money. So I'd probably be paying 25% on this, plus Social Security is in there, so I'd be at like 180 taxable income. I'm not sure exactly what my taxes would be that high, but like maybe losing 42% of my income maybe to taxes. Let's go with 42% I'm losing to taxes. So that's where you start to get the big moolah, is after I've let it sit for 27 plus years, it really starts to compound, and then once Social Security kicks in, you're really chilling. But at 50, if I continued at this rate and saw an average of 8.5% return per year on my investments with a 3% raise for, annual raises each year, I could expect to have about 3.8 million at 50 years old, which if I started pulling from the Roth at that time, and let's say I was after 55 and either used I think there's ways to get money out of your 401k using the rule of 55, like your 72T transaction. Don't know all the specifics of that stuff, but even if you waited until late 50s, you'd have more money in your account, basically be at 60, I guess. Yeah, you would be chilling. So, moral of this is I am trying to invest as much money as I can comfortably to let it grow for the next 30 to 35 years. And I should be well on track to have a couple $1 million by the time I'm in my 50s. And keep in mind, that is not inflation adjusted, but it will be a sizable sum of money. So yeah, hopefully you guys found this interesting. Yeah, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.